This is like the James Corden thing, you know, how he sings.
Yeah, right? We just sing that Drake song. Kiki, you love me.
Okay, which way am I going, Macy?
Is this on Berry Street?
Maybe.
Turn left.
Oh, okay. Alright. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still getting used to the streets.
Yeah,
I don't think I could drive. I don't like driving, but I don't think I can drive out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone, welcome to our conversation. This is my friend Hawk Newsome. Hawk is a pretty incredible person who started the New York chapter of Black Lives Matter, and he's in Australia doing some fun stuff like interviews like this.
Yeah, right.
But Hawk, I'm so curious. Like, what was it that drove you into the Black Lives Matter kind of cause?
I think I was born into it. I was telling you before, like I was born on April 4th. That was the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, a different year. Maya Angelou's birthday.
Yeah.
It was also the day that Adam Clayton Powell Jr., like a superpower black congressman / civil rights activist, he died on that day also. The night I was born, it was like thunder and lightning. It was like a force being born into the world. My mother would say it's an evil force.
No. She's very proud of you.
So yeah, my parents were activists, and this seemed like a natural progression. It seemed like everything I was going, everything from my childhood, the way my dad explained life and racism to me, all the way through, working at a prosecutor's office, then going to law school. Even the trials and the tribulations, the trouble, like everything led me to this path.
Yeah, wow. Because that's interesting that you say that, because well, actually this is probably more a question. Did you feel like that from a really young age, or was that something that came to you after you'd gone through part of your journey?
I always had this incredible sense of empathy.
Yeah.
Right? So I just felt other people's pain. Like, even now when I hear stories, it's like a part of my heart is there with them.
Yeah.
I don't expect everybody to understand that, but that's just my story. That's how I feel about things.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I haven't actually said who I am. Hi, I'm Grace Matthew, and that's my sister Sharice in the back. Sharice, say hi.
Reese,
you for short. And we are driving to a lunch meeting. So that's interesting. You said empathy was like something that kind of stuck with you from the beginning.
Yeah.
But you had a journey that would not be the normal activist, like civil rights activist journey.
No.
Like you went from, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. It's heavy stuff. I was a high school dropout. Sold weed. Was arrested a couple of times for it. What was interesting about that is I was raised in a Christian household. I had both of my parents there. I had a very solid foundation.
Right.
That's what I think brought me back to the cause.
Yeah.
But I messed up. I continued to mess up. Like, to be perfectly honest, like, I had anger issues. Like, I abused women. Like, and that's not anything easy to talk about. I mean, we're lighthearted here, but that's who I was. And the last time it happened, it was like, dear God, I'm gonna hurt somebody, or I'm gonna hurt myself. And then I look back, and most of the huge mistakes, like life-altering mistakes that I made, I was drunk.
Wow.
I was drunk out of my mind, and I had to come to the realization that I was an alcoholic. And I should have knew that, because I'd been drinking like every day, every other day for years and years.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to acknowledge it. It was an addiction.
Right.
So after that that terrible incident, I just gave my life over. I stopped drinking. Wow. I went to AA. I got therapy.
Did that happen really quick? Like, was that a quick transformation, or was that a process?
No, it's still a process.
Yeah.
Because it was like, what was it was dealing with my anger, right? Yeah. And I work, with Black Lives Matter, which is death, pain all the time. And I was unhappy. I was unhappy with myself. and I was trying to take these vacations from life via a bottle, and that would just compound my problems. So it was a long process. Like sometimes, you know, I still get the urge for a drink. Like I could be sitting next to friends and they're drinking, I don't feel it, but like if things get really hard, then I'll want to drink. But God like showed me once I gave over to him that I'd been putting off a lot of great things, like greatness, and I say that humbly, but being able to help like a lot of people, being a voice for liberated people, being a source of inspiration for some, which is still kind of weird to me. You know, when people stop me in the street and they're like, thank you for all you're doing, I'm like, don't thank me, thank God, you know. But it really it's still a process, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing. There's still a lot of myself that I have to move out of the way, and I have to be conscious so that I don't let my ego take hold of me. And one of the things that I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous was ego stands for edging God out. Right? So I just try to stay righteous, and I know it's an impossible thing to do, but I just try to stay the course, stay the path.
And what is staying the path look like for you? You've had a journey where you've gone from drug dealing, being arrested, you then went and did law school. You were a basketball player. Like that's a lot of path to stay. And like a lot of different paths, you know. Like how do you apply that when you're doing law school as opposed to when you're like trying to just get through life without getting arrested again, or you know, like
I still get arrested. But it's for good reasons now, right? It's for civil disobedience. A lot of people
don't break
a lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested 26 times.
My dad has been arrested.
Protesting?
That's like, what was it? It was in India. He was preaching.
See, there it is. That's righteous indignation. You know, and that's admirable. So now, you know, you sit in a jail cell and you're like, you know what? I'm in here because a person was murdered, and the powers that be aren't paying attention, so we're trying to raise awareness, and that's why I'm here. Sacrifice. That agape love we were talking about.
I love that. This is, I think, one of the more interesting things in your story that you have just recently had happen. You were invited to speak at a Trump rally with, you know, some very strongly right-wing supporters. And that wasn't something that you'd planned. And the speech, I mean, it sounds as if it would have been something you'd taken years to craft, but it sounds like that was actually something that came impromptu. How did that happen? Well, tell us a story about how you got there.
We were the whole story, the abridged version. Which one?
Up to you.
The abridged. All right. So we were in DC, and there was this.
Pardon? Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
We
are driving. We need aircon.
So we were protesting a Patriots rally, and it's these people who back President Trump, who love America, who back President Trump's every play. That's problematic. No man is perfect. No man is perfect, right? But a lot of his policies harm people. They harm a lot of people, and particularly black and brown people, and women, gays, a lot of marginalized groups. So we went there to stand up for those people who weren't represented, and it was only 8 of us, and it was about 2,000 of them. And when we walked up to the stage, they were like, "Go home, go home." A couple of N-words, and you know, it was a hostile crowd. And we were there. It was like a standoff. The militia started coming over. Other people started coming over. The police are in front of us like, please move. They're literally sweating because they know if there's a stampede and something breaks out where they want to hurt us, there's nothing they could do but probably get beat up with us. But,
so they're like, get out of the way.
They're like, please. And we're like, no, we're standing here exercising our rights as Americans. And one of the guys who was on stage said, would you want to say something? You want to come up on stage? You want to speak to the people? And I looked around, we had a few nods like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I believe in my heart that they did it for two reasons. One was to prove that they are good people and they're giving us this opportunity to exercise our Second Amendment right, and they're very pro-Constitution.
Right.
And two, they thought we would get booed off the stage.
Right.
And it's funny because I don't wear my law degree on stage. You talked about my path to get here.
Yeah.
And that path included a business degree.
Yeah.
Right? So I studied business communications. I know how to persuade people. I studied law.
Good.
So I know how to present an argument, a convincing argument.
Yeah.
So I don't think they realized that they were inviting who they were inviting on the stage, right?
Yeah.
And then to add on all that is God powered.
Yeah.
And God is on the side of the oppressed. So we are a righteous cause. So we have righteousness. We have God on our side.
Yeah.
And as we walked up on stage, I wanted to go up there and tell them that they were racist, and a lot of other bad things, and just curse them out and flip them off and walk off stage, drop the mic. And that would have made a lot of people in our movement happy.
Right.
But I was looking at the sky, I swear it was like the sky opened up and God said, make them understand who you are.
Wow.
And
Empathy,
right? Because what they need to understand is, I love America, even though America doesn't love me all the time. I love the law because I believe if we work within the law, we can change this system.
Yeah.
Let's be perfectly honest. The people who founded America were slightly corrupt and crooked and lawyers. So they left a lot of wiggle room in the laws. So you could take that wiggle room and use it to really create something great. And when I went up on that stage, the first thing I said was, I'm an American. And the crowd went bananas.
Wow.
Like, oh, you're American. You're with us.
Right.
And then I said, when you're American and you see something's broken, you can mobilize to fix it. They were clapping. So when you see a man choke to death as he screamed 11 times, I can't breathe, and nothing happened, that's a problem. We need to fix it. And people were like, they paused and they're cheering, but they kept clapping because they were like, you know what, this is right.
Right.
This is right. And they may have never had the opportunity to hear that before because sometimes people don't do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. They need an invitation. Yeah. And a lot of people in our movement are like, why? Why do we have to send them this invitation?
Yeah.
But my whole belief is, as an activist, I'm trying to win people over to the side, right? Like, God sends us out here to bring people into the faith, to bring people into the church. So we are activists like Jesus was. Jesus was a radical. He was a revolutionary. Then we must do that work. So they identified, and then I said, I'm a Christian. They went crazy, like, Black Lives Matter is a Christian. Like, what? Do you actually, not all of us are, right? But there are a good number of people who fight for civil rights. Hello, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Like Malcolm X was a man of God.
Was he?
Yeah, Malcolm X, see, a lot of people, the narrative, and I'll get back to the story, the narrative fits to paint Malcolm X to be this revolutionary who said by any means necessary, meaning he'll take up a gun and fight for rights. But what they don't talk about is how he, in fact, was someone who was a convict who turned his life around. He was self-educated, and he brought hundreds of thousands of people into his faith, but brought them into a civil rights movement. And a lot of it was hatred, right? It was a hatred toward Jews for a long time. But he went to Mecca and for his Hajj, right? And he prayed with white people, with people with blonde hair and blue eyes. So when he came back from that trip, he no longer preached hate. He was like, I'll work with anyone. I will work with anyone who is on the side of justice.
That's amazing.
So it's easier to say, he was this violent, rage-filled activist and discount the fact that even at that later stage in his life, he evolved.
You know what's amazing? It sounds like you've gone through a similar journey in some ways. And it even sounds as if the moment that you were describing where you had that opportunity to speak at this rally, that was a catalyst not just for you winning those guys over,
Mm-hmm.
but for you yourself in your heart turning from being fighting against and actually being an inviter, like an includer.
Yeah, like your mother said, it's time to receive. It's no longer time to fight for our rights. It's time to receive the rights that we've been granted.
Yeah.
And I love that. So at that moment, there was after we left that stage, you had that president of Bikers for Trump, who were kind of racist. And this is a fact, right?
Yeah, no,
and he came up, he was like, I want you to take a picture with my son. And I took a picture with this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid.
Yeah.
Jacob was his name, right? And I spoke to the guy on the phone a couple months later, and he said when he went home, his wife told him, why'd you let that nigger hold my baby?
Oh.
Yeah. But it was one of those moments that you had to be present for, or you have to be open to it when you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Black Lives Matter activists said that it was staged. Right?
Really?
Said that I sold out and that this was staged.
Wow.
Other people were just mad.
Yeah.
Like, they were really mad. I became an outcast in the movement. But did I care, though? That's what you should ask your question. No, not at all. Because courage isn't standing up. It is standing up to the people who you're in opposition to, right? But real courage is standing up and telling your people who agree with you that there's a better way to do things.
Definitely.
That's courage. And you know, some people left my group.
Yeah. Wow.
People protested me. Black people protested me. I had a youth march, our second annual youth march, a march organized by kids, thousands of kids, hundreds, whatever, out there. And these people came and protested me and handed out signs that said, Hawk Newsome is a KKK-loving, Trump-supporting coon.
Oh my gosh! That's
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's just
And they actually
way too ironic.
We were I won't put the organization on blast, but we were having it at this historically black institution in Harlem, and they had me banned from the building. So my kids could go in there and present, but me and the other adults couldn't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, me and the other adults couldn't go in. So we stood and had a rally outside with them screaming the whole time. But it's just sad, right? Because when it was us doing it, they banned me from the location. A few months later, white group, New York Democrats, had an event there, and they asked me to come and give a keynote.
Yeah.
And they let me in. So it's like, wow, if a white person's running it, you're not protesting, you're not allowing me in it. That's self-hate. That's one of the things we're trying to conquer, you know, with rejuvenation, with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rejuvenation is the next chapter in what Black Lives Matter kind of is seeking to do.
Black Lives Matter New York.
Right, yeah.
You know, as a whole, the movement has independent chapters. There are like 400 people who march under the banner chapters. There's 38 global chapters, and that was sparked by that was created by the founders, right? So we're one of the ones who march outside of that organization.
Yeah.
They haven't denounced me yet, but we had a conversation because after the Trump thing, they were like, "Nah, bro, you using the name. We need to see where your head is at." And we had a talk, and it was confrontational, and then it was like loving, like we coming from the same place. It's just we have two different
ways of
type
doing it.
modus operandi, right? So we're going about it in two different ways. Make no mistake about it. I'm not trying to compromise the movement or the message. So Rejuvenation is a different organization, right? Same folks, but different organization. And the purpose of that is to combat food injustice.
Right. This is such an important thing to be talking about.
Yeah. Really? You're not going to let us in?
Rude.
Yeah, right? You could have let us in. So, food injustice. Food injustice is targeted racism.
Yeah.
They, soda companies put more salt, more sugar in.
Do they really?
Yeah, and Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a Jewish doctor, prominent, was the doctor for the Clintons. He was the guy who was in Haiti amputating limbs with bottles of liquor because it wasn't medical supplies. So he's like performing surgeries in the street. He's awesome. And his son and I became friends. His son put me on to the whole food revolution.
Yeah.
And Dr. Hyman expounded on it, right? He just broadened my horizons on the topic. And he's the one who told me that, you know, they're sending different recipes to different places, and they're actually hooking people on sugar and then turn around saying, you fat slob, why can't you look at what you're doing to yourself? And no, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. Now they're actually trying to say that sugar is part of a balanced diet. It's about soda is part of a balanced diet.
That's
it's just
so wrong.
Exactly.
You know, I think the reason I think this is so important is because this is a massive part of like structural inequalities in pretty much any developed or even developing society. And it's an area that a lot of people are just not aware of. Like, people don't realize that some of the environmental and dietary facets of and dynamics within a community can lead to there being more violence, can lead to there being more crime.
Yeah.
And even things like the water quality or the heavy metals that are present in soils in certain areas can lead people to literally be more angry and more violent. And so when you're talking about like revolutionizing people's diets and educating them on things like this, that is so important.
Yeah. No, it's there was actually a study in a prison where they changed the diet, gave the prisoners healthier foods, and violence decreased by 40%.
Wow.
Right? When they introduced a daily supplement, a vitamin, it went down another 15%.
Wow.
Right?
Oh my God.
So why isn't this commonplace?
Right.
Right? And why it's not commonplace is because this racism, these genocides, people don't like this word, but these genocides are real. People make money off of killing black people, and they have no desire to change. So I'm a disruptor by nature. I like starting shit.
I think it's one of those things where, like, you know, we talk about, like, people have different ideas on, you know, things like advertising for gambling and alcohol and cigarettes and all these things that we know are killing people. Like, we know that they're bad for us, but we also somehow feel like we have the right to advertise them or have the right to, like, push them.
It's like, you know, people don't have morals anyway. Like, I'm not a perfect man, you know. I curse. Sometimes I get angry. I figured out how to channel it. But the reality of it is we stopped moving. I don't even think America ever operated from a moral standpoint, right? And this is where we need to take people to. Like, you know, this is wrong. This is ethically, this is morally wrong. And we're poisoning people. And we need to change this. So I want to bring that message to our folks. And to, you know, not just black people, but to the nation abroad, possibly to the world. And people need to understand what's happening. Another part of Rejuve, it's like Rejuve Space Nation, right? So it's like we're building a whole new nation of people, right? Is mindfulness, meditation, like, right? So we pray, yes, but we want to teach people to meditate, to clear their minds. We work with some professors who provide us with research that said that when folks engage in mindfulness practices, they are more productive. So this is another key pillar of what we're doing. Financial literacy. Let's teach people about money. Introduce them to entrepreneurship efforts. This whole robot thing is real. And
like artificial intelligence.
And
people losing their jobs because they're not upskilling in the right areas.
That's it. So why not tell people, like, hey, in 20, 30 years, these are the professions you might want to be in. And we train these people in it. Now, like, Jewish people did some really great things. They were blocked out of everything. So they found, like, these little spaces where they can excel, right? And that was brilliant. So what I'm trying to do is the same thing for black people.
I love that.
Right on.
So what are some of the areas, like, have you got specific areas that you're educating people, or that you're kind of telling people to get themselves educated in, that might be industries or skill sets that would be useful to them in the future?
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? So we could just open the door to opportunity, provide them with information, also give them helpful information on credit, how to build your credit, how to protect your credit, how to manage your money. Like, I like, Kanye West. You listen to Kanye West?
Yeah.
All right. Kanye West said, "I'm like a fly Malcolm X by any means necessary." Like, yeah, I like nice clothes, right? And I like really awesome cars. I don't own awesome cars. I have some decent clothes. You live in New York
City.
Yeah, so, right?
Owning a car is not a smart idea.
Exactly. So what I want people to do is understand that they don't need these materialistic, materialism shouldn't validate who they are as people. These are other lessons that we have to learn. Like, folks have to, I was talking to Matt, the person we're going to meet yesterday, and I was like, we need to change the way we eat, change the way we think. He was like, you're quoting Tupac. I am. Right?
He had it.
Yeah, he had it.
He's not dead.
His parents were Black Panthers. He knew this stuff. So this is what we're trying to do with Rejuvenation. Like, we're really just trying to teach people how to love themselves. Right. And if you teach people to do that, you don't have to tell them like, hey, come and fight for your rights. Like, no, because if you love yourself, then you're not a doormat for anything. Yeah. And for anyone, and you're gonna stand up naturally. Yeah. So people who come into our communities, like who give food and run these programs, are usually politicians. Yeah, they're doing it for the good of the community, but they're building up their names and they're protecting their careers. Yeah. They're running for re-election. So we're doing this for free. I don't want anything from you except to think and to love. Like, it's like people coming in showing you love with no strings attached. Yeah. Not just people in the ghetto, but people all over the world don't know that type of love. You got like affluent, rich, wealthy people who don't know that type of love. And this is what we're bringing to the most unloved communities in the country.
I love that, because we were just talking a little bit earlier about the idea of agape love. Like, there are a number of different types of love, and agape love is the one that in Greek it means unconditional love, and that's the kind of love that transforms people. Amen. You know. And so it's just amazing how, like, woven through this story, and even the fact that you, through that experience at that rally, came to a place where I feel like there's probably an element of forgiveness there, like an element of empathy, not just from them to you, but you to them. Like, going, these people are real people. They love their families. They, but they're misinformed.
That's it, right? And a lot of people in my situation, on my side of this mission, can't give them that.
Right.
What? Love them for. You see what these people promote? You see what they're doing? Right. I get it, but these people are in the darkness. They have the wool pulled over their eyes, and some of them are evil. The ones that are evil, is like, I love you, but I really ain't got no love for you. You know what I'm saying? But the ones who the ones who had that are just simply misinformed and need a new foundation so that they could build their beliefs upon, then I'm here to work with them. I'm definitely present for them.
Yeah. So if people are interested in finding out more about, like, what Rejuvenation is and the Black Lives Matter movement, what would you say the next steps would be, and how do you want people to be getting engaged with this?
Okay. Rejuvenation, we are still, speaking of foundations, we are still laying down a foundation. Website should be up soon, but what I say is you follow me, Hawk of New York on Twitter.
Hawk of New York.
Yeah. Hawk.Newsome Instagram, or Hawk Newsome on Facebook. Yeah. You could also follow Black Lives Matter Greater New York. That's Black Lives Matter Greater NY.com. Yeah. BLM Greater NY on Instagram and on Twitter. And you'll be able to receive updates. One thing that we have now is coming up is the Agape March. Oh, wow. We're going to march from New York to Washington, D.C., and then to Charlottesville. in 12 days. So we'll march to DC and then take a bus into Charlottesville for the anniversary of the riot. And that's all love. We're not going there to confront anyone. We're going to preach a message of love and to bring other people who have love in their hearts out to organize, to receive instruction on how we move forward. The Agape March website should be up today if Xander Schultz does his job. Xander's one of my best friends. He's a Jewish brother, and he works a lot with me, right? So we're working on a 10.
Shout out to Xander.
Yeah, shout out Xander. Zan Man is Zoe calls him. So he's setting up the website. He's super dope. And we'll have the Agape March site up. And we're talking about putting this thing together, which could potentially bring thousands of people out.
Wow.
In, 15 days? What's the day?
Sometime in July.
Yeah, right? It's like the 14th, 15th.
Something like that, yeah, 14th.
Yeah, so hold on. I got my phone right here. Yep, today's the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Ooh! Sounds like a lucky day.
Right on.
That is reverso.
Yeah. Right.
So exciting. Well, thanks for driving with me.
Listen, thank you for taking me to church today. That was a blessing. Like, introducing me to your beautiful family and just helping me to spread this message. My message isn't perfect. I'm far from perfect, but I don't think we're in a place where perfection is a requisite. We're in a place where action is a requisite, where love is a requisite, where wisdom that only God can give is required. So thank you for letting me talk to people about that. Grace.
Anytime, brother. I love it.
And Grace's car is super cool.
Yeah, speaking of cars.
Yeah, right? No, because what's amazing is I was like, okay, how will I fit? And it's spacious.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. You've been a very tall individual.
Very large black man, you can say it. Yeah.
I don't know what can be said anymore. I don't say the word black anymore because I just don't even know. You know how people say black don't crack? I don't say that because I don't think I'm brown enough to say it.
I think you are.
Okay.
I think you're sufficiently brown. Yeah. You're sufficiently melanated. Right? So when you hashtag put melanin popping, that's the hashtag.
Oh, is it? Melanin popping?
melanin
Okay, yeah, I've seen that actually.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got enough melanin to
sufficiently
say
tinted.
yeah.
Especially here in Australia. You're like sub-Saharan dark compared to like there's no black people out here.
I know.
It's crazy. That's why when I walked into Matt's cafe and he has the refugees working there, I was like, oh my God, this is the most black people I've seen since I've been here.
Yeah. My car's beeping because people are walking past.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah.
And people act like it's cold out here.
It is cold.
Come on. It's like, what, 65 degrees? This is like spring in New York.
Yeah. But no, this is what my brother tells, because my brother lives in New York, and he tells me that, so 65 in New York, you don't feel cold. 65 in Sydney, you feel like it's freezing. Yeah. Like it just feels different. I think it's because of the humidity or something like that. But it's true.
Maybe.
It's true.
Our houses aren't built for the
That's
cold.
true. We don't have not all houses have heating.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why.
It's a cool city.
It is a cool city. We like it.
This part looks kind of like DC. I went to law school in DC.
I went to George Washington University last year for a semester.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
I went to Howard.
Obviously. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Social engineer.
Cool.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, we need to figure out where we're going to park. Oh my gosh, is that a park? Okay. Sorry, guys. I think that this is it. Okay, this one.